This fridge hasn't run in probably over 100 years, and this week, we're going to use it as our refrigerator. Last year, we bought this antique Icebox because we loved the look it brought to our little shed-to-home build. Right next to it, we have an old Hoosier cabinet. Across the room, there's a farmhouse sink. The wood stove is burning. It makes this place feel like something straight out of Little House on the Prairie, when life felt slower. Simpler. But this fridge has just been sitting here. We've never actually tried using it. And I have some questions. Will it really hold temperature? How long will the ice last before we have to replace it? Does 100-year-old insulation still work? Or is this just a beautiful piece of furniture pretending to be useful? Because before refrigerators plugged into the wall, this is what people used. Ice boxes became popular in the late 1800s, and by the early 1900s, almost every American home had one. A block of ice sat in the top compartment, and cold air sank naturally and cooled everything below. At the turn of the 20th century, ice was a massive industry. Every winter, workers cut thousands of tons of ice from frozen lakes. It reminds me of the movie Frozen that I've seen too many times with my kids. They packed ice in sawdust, stored them in giant ice houses, and delivered them door to door. Entire cities depended on ice deliveries the same way we depend on electricity today. Then electricity showed up. By the 1930s and 40s, electric refrigerators became affordable, and almost overnight, the natural ice trade collapsed. Tens of thousands of jobs disappeared, ice houses were abandoned, delivery routes vanished, and this icebox became obsolete. Or did it? Because if this works, it changes things for us. It means no electric fridge constantly draining our small solar system. It means less dependence on power. It means instead of running a full refrigerator 24/7, maybe we just run a small freezer to freeze ice packs, like the ones I use for our coolers at the farmer's market. That opens up a lot of possibilities. But if it doesn't work, at least we'll know. This icebox was bought at an auction and fixed up a bit by the person we bought it from on Facebook Marketplace. On the top, it has a logo that says N. Snellenberg & Co., manufactured in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Inside the door, there's a label that says it's insulated with porcelain over sheet metal, with wool felt and charcoal sheeting inside. There's a rack on the top left side where the block of ice sits, and the cold air travels down naturally to cool the shelves below. It's really unique, it's really beautiful. And if we can't use it as a fridge, we could still use it as a pantry, or even as a kind of root cellar for canned foods that we preserve. It would honestly be beautiful to open this up and see it full of mason jars full of food that we grew right in our backyard. But if we can use it as an actual refrigerator, that changes everything. Right now, the temperature inside is 55 degrees, which was just the temperature of the house this morning. The house is now 74 with the stove burning, and this thing hasn't shifted much. So the insulation still might be doing its job. I also bought a Bluetooth thermometer so we can monitor the temperature inside the icebox without constantly opening the door, and even get alerts if it rises above the temperature that we want. Okay, so I've got two sensors inside our icebox. On one side, it is 51.4. On the other side, it's down to 48 already. And that's the left side here. The ice is up here in the top, and that makes sense that down in this area right below where the ice is the coldest. And over here on the right side on the bottom, I have the other sensor, and that's just 2 degrees warmer than this side. But this was only been a little over an hour, and you saw the temperature was 63, I believe, before I put in the ice. And now it's dropped over 10 degrees. And I'm going to see how long it takes to get this down into the low 40s, where I would like to keep the temperature before we actually use this for keeping food cold. But before we load this thing full of food, I'm going to go over every inch of it and seal any gaps so we're not losing cold air before we even start. Because for the next few days, I'm putting this fridge to the test. No electricity, just ice. And by the end of this week, we'll know if 19th century technology can still compete with modern appliances. I really wanted this to work. There's something about a 120-year-old icebox sitting in a small cabin that just feels right. I love how it requires no electricity, no compressor, just ice and insulation. But wanting something to work and it actually working are two completely different things. The first night actually surprised me. The temperature inside started at 63 degrees and dropped all the way down to 42 at its lowest. For a moment, I thought, this might actually work. 42 degrees isn't perfect, but it's pretty close. And I went to bed that first night thinking we might have just replaced a modern refrigerator with a block of ice. But then I lit the wood stove that night and went to bed. And by morning, the temperature inside the icebox had climbed into the high 50s and the ice packs had completely melted. That's not refrigeration. That's barely cool storage, and that wasn't going to cut it. Now, I did say before starting this experiment that I was going to seal up any gaps or cracks around the icebox, but I didn't. I wanted to see how it performed first, exactly how it was, and honestly, it showed. There's some separation along the top boards where the wood has shifted over time. There's a missing piece on the small door that covers the ice chamber, leaving a noticeable gap. I could see how warm air could easily travel right through there into the main compartment. And along the top trim, you can see slight separation where the boards meet, which is to be expected for something that's over 120 years old. So here's the deal. I'm going to seal every gap, every crack, do it clean, and do it in a way that doesn't make this thing look ugly, hopefully. And then I'm going to give it one last chance. If it can hold 40 degrees or less for 24 hours, I'll let it stay as a fridge. But if not, it's going to get reassigned to a new job, because in a small cabin like ours, everything has to earn its space. But as I watched those temperatures climb that first night, I started thinking differently. Maybe I was trying to force this to be something it wasn't meant to be. When this icebox was built, homes didn't have compressors humming in the kitchen. They had cool storage. And honestly, we don't have a basement. So what if this isn't a refrigerator? What if it's a root cellar? Because if it can consistently hold temperatures in the low 50s with just a single ice pack, that's actually perfect for food storage. It's dark, cool, stable. That would be great for canned tomato sauce, grains like wheat, potatoes, anything that thrives in root cellar-like conditions. We would still need to rotate ice packs daily, but instead of fighting it, we would use it for what it can do. And this actually solves another problem we've had. We've had large frozen bags of tomatoes sitting in our freezer for months, mostly from the Amish paste tomatoes we grew this year. We have slowly been using them to make fresh batches of sauce and salsa, but I never got around to fully processing them this summer. So instead of letting them take up freezer space, we're finally canning them. And freezing tomatoes first actually makes it easier. Once they thaw, the skins slip right off. There's no peeling with a knife. You can just toss them into the pot. Tomatoes are high acid, so they can be water bath canned. You don't need a pressure canner. And tomato sauce is something we buy often from the store. So this is one less thing we'll have to purchase for a while. I'll definitely be growing more of these Amish paste tomatoes moving forward. They're meaty, don't have many seeds, and they're perfect for sauce and salsa. Now I'll start packing this icebox full of food. And honestly, even though this experiment didn't turn out the way I hoped, I love what it became. Instead of a fridge, it became a pantry, a root cellar, a trophy case of everything we've grown and preserved ourselves. It frees up freezer space, and it gives this 120-year-old piece a real purpose again. Now downstairs, we'll use our EcoFlow Delta Pro to power a small fridge, and upstairs, a small chest freezer. I may need to expand our solar setup with more panels and more batteries to make sure we have uninterrupted power to those appliances, but I'm confident that we can do it, because this whole life is just one long experiment. You test, you adjust, you build resilience. And sometimes the old way doesn't replace the new way, but it still finds its place.